I actually hit record again this time. Shoot, I'm on a roll.
You
This
sure?
is, yeah, I'm sure this time. And we have to ask because we have had conversations for 45 minutes to an hour in the past and then look back at it and was like, oh, no, we didn't have
No, we
a
didn't.
conversation for 45 minutes to an hour because I didn't hit record. And then, like the thing that Reggie does that he always does, he never lets me live it down, but that's all right. So I won't get into the details.
Say
That
no,
voice that you
Lucy. You did not hit record, Lucy. No.
Well, that accusatory voice that you hear is Reggie. Say hi, Reggie.
Hi, Reggie.
Yep. Okay. So you know how to check us out. You heard the intro. And I'm going to start today's podcast by asking a simple question. And for you, the answer, it better be yes. Have you ever been in love?
You asking me?
Yeah, that's why I said the answer, it better be
Oh,
yes.
did you asking that? Did you ask the audience and stuff, the TV studio audience and stuff? Yeah.
Okay. And how did you know what happened that led you to know that you were in love? Was it some kind of magical force? Was it something that was done and was just like, oh, okay, this makes me feel like I'm in love now? What happened?
I remember back in one of the podcasts we had, we were talking about what's my list, and I kind of fumbled through that. But as I thought about that a little bit more, I have a fourth dimensional matrix, and for your physics and science geeks, space time continuum and Star Trek and all that crap. So the four dimensions are a spark, which is what I call that chemistry, that thing that you just can't explain. You have the fun factor, which is the fact that you are naturally curious about the world, like to have fun. Not necessarily always going drinking and stuff like that, but there's a natural curiosity about the world, and you are free and playful in the space that we're in. You have the depth, which means that you analyze your environment and things more than the superficial first level, second, third level thinking. And the third one is uniqueness. I must find something that is unique just to you. My wife has a uniqueness factor of the fact that when we first started dating, she studied Japanese history and also she draws anime. So I was like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. You know, I kind of had that, oh shit, that's kind of cool. You do that stuff. So that's the uniqueness part. And if you check off all those boxes, I'm pretty much going to try to.
Okay. This is what I'm talking about right here. And this is what I was referring to earlier. The thing that gets me is when I ask this question, that's the kind of answer I get. 6 minutes of something that I just don't understand what in the hell I just listened to. I asked you, have you been in love? And then you said yes. And I asked you, when did you know that you were in love? What happened? Did you wake up and you were in love? Was it something that was done specifically? And you were like, oh, shoot, this action, I'm in love now. And that's what most people give me when I ask that question. It's like all of this stuff.
It's a
And
process though.
all I want to know is, and
Okay.
what I'm
That's the
always
question
asking
again.
people, when did you know that you love that person? What was it? Did you wake up in the morning, look at her and be like, I think I love her now? Or was it like, oh, she gave me $100. I think I love her because she gave me $100. What is the thing that thing that pushes it over the edge that makes you feel like I'm in love with this person now and I wasn't yesterday?
That depend that's very individualistic on the woman I'm with. And it takes a while. It takes at least a year before I even would even utter that word. It is, as I said before, intense interrogation and stuff like that. It could be something as simple as it went on and we were going back and forth and we were talking to each other. Those 8-hour Zoom calls that you hate, and I hate the gifts, but it may be something as simple as the fact that she brings my favorite bourbon, and it may have been over the time of that whole year. She's been drinking that bourbon every week for the whole year. But it's maybe sometimes, the line, it hits. I don't know. But it's not instant. For me, it's not instant.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily that it's instant. It's just that I talk to people and they've been dating somebody for a year and it's like, And when I watch TV shows and stuff like that, it's like, well, do you love the person? It's like, yeah. Are you in love with the person? Well, no. What would it take for you to fall in love with the person? I don't know. Or I think I love the person. Okay, you think you're in love with the person. Why do you think you're in love with the person? And what would make you know? And so when I ask all of these questions, and and this is everybody I ask, it's like I get a whole bunch of I don't know.
See, okay, hold up. So let me break that down for you because I got my trusty nose. There are two types of love according to some people, and some people you actually break that stuff down to even like five or six. The Greeks broke it down in three, but they
Reggie,
were.
don't you dare spend 20 minutes talking about what the Greeks defined had.
I'm not. Would you cut my wisdom, man?
Oh,
You
I'm
cut my
sorry.
wisdom. Okay, like I said, the Greeks have the three, but we ain't gonna talk about that. So I'm just gonna stick with the two. The passionate love is what most people talk about. That's that chemistry stuff. That's that. Oh my God, I can't stay with that Romeo Juliet thing. That thing that they talked about in the Iliad, where Hector and Helen said, "Oh my God, I love you," and they went off somewhere back to Troy because even though they knew they were gonna start a war, that thing, or the thing like I always say, I want to have the feeling of a Prince song and be willing to fight God with a toothpick and dental floss. Period. That's it. That's that passionate stuff. The second part of that is, and I would classify that as what people classify as being in love. The second one is what they call compassionated love, which is what you're talking about. It's like, okay, after a while and stuff like that, you start to form the attachments and the caregiving and the stuff like the nurturing, and you start the commitment stuff and blah, 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 blah. Two separate processes, two separate systems, two separate things that go on chemically in the body and the brain.
I, I don't really know if what I'm talking about has anything to do with something that's chemically in the brain because it's like, and I'm not talking about God's love where I love my neighbor.
Agape.
Okay. Yeah, all of that. I'm talking about in terms of because we're on a dating podcast, talking about when it comes to dating, whatever category that falls in, where you meet a woman or women meet a man and you go through the process of getting to know each other, and then eventually you get to a point where you develop feelings. And I just don't understand why people are so hesitant to acknowledge that they are in love with someone. And this leads to the whole topic of what we're talking about today. I have the belief that because people don't give clear answers to those questions that I ask, that love is just a choice. And the reason that I feel like it's a choice is because there's nothing that someone can do usually to pinpoint when they fall in love with somebody. I think, me myself, I think that somebody's on an emotional wave and that's great. And then they finally decide, okay, now is a good time because I feel the way I feel to tell this person that I love them or I'm in love with them. And see, notice that I'm not really distinguishing between the two, they're interchangeable.
No, they're not.
Well, I would imagine that you wouldn't, but if you're laying there next to a woman and you tell her I love you, and or if you told her I'm in love with you, I think she'll probably take those both the same way. And so, and
Well, she probably would, but I know the difference, so therefore I won't say that.
well, and I think that's part of the problem. I think it goes into communication because if you pull out notes and stuff and you tell a woman that you love them or you're in love with them and she's going to take it one way, but you mean the Greek way instead of the way that she's thinking.
Oh no, I'm not the Greek way. I ain't talking about that. They were scared of
Well,
the P, but
well,
I'm talking
no,
about.
well, whatever way. It's like any way other than the way that um the women that you ain't dating. The women that I would date would think of it. When I talk about love to women that I date, they're not talking about, okay, define like back in the day with love, the five different ways of love. Which one are you referring to? But my thing is this: if you meet someone that you're attracted to, male or female, you meet somebody that you're attracted to, and you have things in common, and that is consistent, those things in common, to me, that's the recipe for love. And then it's just a matter of you making a choice to acknowledge it or not. If
Okay.
if you're with this person and she's fine, or he's fine if you're a woman, or if you're a man, whatever your thing is. If you meet this person and they're fine to you, and then you have things in common and you speak the same quote unquote language in terms of your interests and things like that, that naturally is going to have you two grow together. And as you grow together, to me, whether you call it that or not, you're already in love. It's just a matter of whether you want to acknowledge it or not.
So okay, so what you're talking about, we're talking about two totally different things. You're talking about whether they're gonna acknowledge or not. I'm just talking about the process because as we're speaking about this, that whole attraction thing I'm talking about is the first part of that whole passionate love thing where they made it think I'm attracted to you. Because if you know, originally when you brought this subject up, you're talking about love as a choice. So I was getting ready to ask you the question. Okay, if love's a choice and some chick that you're compatible with and stuff like that comes to you, but she's 300 pounds, you should be able to choose to love her, right?
Yeah, but that's why.
Then why aren't you giving her that shot? Your
That's
soulmate could be some 350-pound chick.
Well, before I started on our last thing, the first thing I said, if you find someone and you're attracted to each other, so
I heard that.
that's what opens you up.
I know.
Other things, if you don't open yourself up and allow the other thing to happen, then it won't happen.
I
So
know.
you have both.
I
So
know.
right.
And
So
that's
with
what
that
gives, and
said,
that's that chemistry part that you keep
no, no,
shitting on.
that's not chemistry. And
What is it then?
no, and I'm talking about the process and the choice. So the process is meeting that person. Okay, I'm attracted to that person. And then, okay, let's get to know each other. Oh, shoot, we have a lot in common. That's the process, learning what you all have in common. And I think when it comes to being in love or loving someone, whatever, I think you can be in love with someone after the first date. And then you continue to prove that you're in love with that person as you consistently find that you have things in common, and it's like you don't find any crazy stuff that's hiding behind the bush or something like that.
You're gonna find crazy stuff. I know. Like I said, how many times have you actually been attracted physically to a woman, but then as you got through talking to her, you were like, no.
It's happened often, but the reason that it's happened is because we don't have anything in common. We don't speak the same language. That's got nothing to do with chemistry. That's just that, shoot. If I meet a woman and I'm attracted to her and she likes sports, check. That's not a chemistry thing. That's just we have common interests. And that's my whole point. It's like you can be in love on the first date. It's just a matter of whether you want to acknowledge it, or if you've been hurt, if you want to string that along for
But
like
hurt.
or if you want to string it along for the next 2 years, almost waiting for the person to fail.
See, my thing is this, and like I said, because I have been in love and I've been in a lot of like,
Let's hope so.
and it's a total emotionally, it's a totally different feeling. It's a totally different feeling for me, and I can't speak for you. I can only go for mine, and trust me, I used to get around like Tupac, but there was totally different feelings, and I've been in. I can clearly say I've been in love once. That's not including, of course, first love. That doesn't count. I don't count first loves. I don't count first loves because it's new shit. But as for, oh my god, I have this you are, there's a presence that sits on me whether you're with me or not, and I just feel you whether you're around me or not, and I haven't seen you like in weeks or whatever. That's what I consider me. That's that intro to the type of love I want. I was talking to another friend of mine, Cabrera, and I think people have different types of love and stuff like that. I say I have my notes here that Mike is shitting on, but it's okay. Because I get scientific with this stuff, and I understand what he's talking about with the fact that it's getting a little frustrating. Because if someone was coming to me talking to me the way I'm talking right now, I would have shut them down. And like, as Mike said in one of the videos, one of the podcasts, that I would bully them. I don't
Yeah.
bully anyone. I browbeat them, but that's neither
Yeah.
here or there. But
Okay.
that's neither here or there. But unless you ever felt it, you won't have any idea what the hell I'm talking about. And before I actually felt it, I was just like you.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. This will be interesting to see how this episode plays because I think it's really polarizing, and I think there's a chance that there's an audience that will look at what you're saying and think you're crazy, but I also think there's an audience that'll look at what I'm saying and think that I'm crazy because I would think
We
that
should take a poll.
hmm, I think the majority of people listening to this will disagree with me when I say that you can fall in love with someone after a first date. I think it's less about the abstract. I think people make it more abstract than it is. I think you talk about that crazy, passionate, dangerous thing. You find that on a first date with somebody, you used to call it love at first sight, but it goes deeper than that because you have to do more than just look at them. But I've come home from first dates, could not get this woman or whatever woman off my mind. And it's like I'm thinking about her all the time. I can't wait till we meet up again.
Is that a song?
To me, and this is what people are going to disagree with me on, is that um, I say that that's in being in love. That's what being in love feels like. Now,
Yes.
now people will reject me because I'm saying that it can happen on the first date. But if that's what it feels like, why can't you acknowledge it as such, except that society says that you're crazy if you do acknowledge it as such? And of
Actually,
course, if you tell the woman that you're in love with after the first date, she's definitely
Kevin
going
go.
to.
She's ready for the hills.
Yeah, yeah.
But I read something else in one of my other books that actually guys, men, can fall in love at first sight. We are more prone to it. Women are a little bit more hesitant to do that because they were in other options and all that stuff. You know, we talk about evolutionary behavior and all that bullshit.
Now,
But at the same time,
are we talking first sight or
we
after
talk
the
about
first date?
we're talking about first sight, and
So,
then especially after the first date.
because
There are cases there where some guys sit there and said that when the woman walked in, he knew that's my wife, and they've been together forever.
and
I'm
see,
like, I don't believe that, but I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm more like you.
I question that just because you know nothing about her except for how she looks, and
But
that's what you're saying makes you fall
well,
in love.
but
But
dude, that's what they said. I'm just saying, I can't not they hustle.
that kind of speaks to my point about how being in love is a choice that you make. Now, now that choice might be built on some flawed logic, but
But it's not a no. But see, going back to that choice thing, because that choice thing means you have a conscious, you're making a conscious decision. I want to do this, and what I'm trying to get you to understand is that feeling that you have for somebody. You're not, you know, you you can't turn that on and off. It's like if you sit there and you talking to a guy or whatever, and he may be saying, you know, just blah 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 blah, nothing real serious, but you like this guy's irritating the fuck out of me, and you don't know why he's irritating you, but he's not doing anything wrong. He's even talking something, you know, he's maybe talking about the game, and he's not doing anything to spare you, but you got this feeling that this guy's annoying as fuck.
see, and that's the thing. When I hear things like that, I don't necessarily believe that stuff because I just think that those people that say that, using that example, they if they really took the time to really research it, they can find what it is about that person that annoys them. They just don't want to take that time, so they dismiss it as, well, it's just a feeling. No, you know what it is, or at least if you don't, you can figure it out. But there is something that you can put your finger on. But
Yeah,
that's to the logical
but
me.
see, that's the thing, no, but that's the thing about it. We're talking about two different systems here. We're talking about the yin and yang. We're talking about the male, the female energy. We're talking about the intuition and the conscious, which, of course, if you read anything about psychology, you realize that we're more intuition than we are conscious. That's a whole different subject. I'm not getting into it. It also goes in when we're talking about this love thing. Sometimes you just, and this is the, you know, this is the knock. I will actually go and defend women on this one. This is the knock that women usually have because they use their intuition a little too often versus sometimes processing what they're feeling, what the information their body is giving them, and find out, okay, I'm feeling this way, and doing the next step consciously. Why?
Let me be
That's what
straight.
you're talking about.
Let me be straight. That's you defending women?
Well, yeah, because sometimes they don't, you know, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to shit on that intuitive aspect of the human body anymore. I used to be that whole Spock person and logic and reason, but we're shutting down a whole big part of ourselves because we don't want to trust our intuition sometimes. Now, granted, like I said, if you keep just jumping off your intuition off the first sign of it, oh my God, I feel a snake. And it's not a snake, it's a mouse, you know, but you have to acknowledge, I feel something. What do I feel? And then you pause and then you go to the mental process. But even at that point, that takes training because, as you know, I'm reading this book right here that I'm about to get right now. This book called, can you see? The Happiness Hypothesis. The subconscious part of us, as he equated to as the elephant, is a lot bigger than the conscious part of us, which we consider the rider.
First of all, I would not be part of any conversation, discussion, podcast, or anything where you encourage these chicks to like
Read a
go
book.
into it. No, so what are you talking about? No, to use their intuition because boy, oh boy, if I hear another woman tell me,
No, I'm not.
I knew he was cheating because my intuition told me something told me that he was doing. No, it's because you so negative. And that's what you don't think everybody's doing. So that's why you went through his phone. It wasn't no woman's intuition and all that bull shucks. Yeah, so I would not be part of that. Let's end this right now. I'm just joking about ending it right now. But yeah, so
Actually, it's funny because I actually saw something on Instagram the one time I went on in the last month. And you know, I'm getting more and more, believe it or not, into the metaphysical, spiritual aspects of this stuff.
oh Lord.
And uh, because of the sexual act and the energy transfer and stuff like that, it's not that far from just regular physics because everything is energy. Everything's energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. And you know how is was it Brother Polite? I think that's his name. He was talking about the semen entering the woman, and after a while, the DNA started to do all this other stuff and blah blah. So that's how he knows. She knows that you know you may be doing this. Like I said, I am, I am not condemning or condoning this, but
Oh,
let me just say this. There's been a couple of times in my life where it wasn't I was cheating because I was single and I was dating, but certain women knew you went to that chick's house, didn't you? And I was like, yeah, how you know?
I
And
think
you know, I just had a feeling. I'm like, okay.
I think the feeling stems from their subconscious negativity. Regardless if it was you or the next five dudes, they'll have that intuition or just knew that they doing something, whether they were doing it or not. It's like if I guess that a bird is gonna fly in my backyard every single day, and that bird doesn't fly in my yard, and then on the 100th day it does, be like, see, I told you. It's
Well,
like
dude,
it's like
they say the law of attraction, all that crap.
my grandmother, bless her heart, she used to play the lottery every day, the 3 digit and 4 digit. And I'll keep this brief. And she would lose most of the time, like most people do when they play the lottery. And then, like, once out of every 30 days or so, she would hit and win like a couple $100 and be like, see, this is why I play. Never mind the thousands of dollars you lost leading up to that. So
Good
it's
point.
no, this isn't about intuition, at least in those cases. It's just about you just negative as what? You just
Okay, like I said, I'm not gonna get to that far into it. I'm just, you know, I just brought it up. But like
I'm
I said,
sorry. I'm
going
sorry.
back.
That kind of like took yeah, I gotta bring it back from the metaphysical and bring it back to the real world
Yeah, exactly.
in my dating
Um,
experiences.
man, because you never been in love, and it's like passionate love is a drug. Its symptoms overlaps with those of heroin, a euphoric well-being, sometimes described in sexual terms, and cocaine. We love cocaine and hookers. A euphoric combined with giddiness and energy. You've
Okay.
ever experienced that, Michael? You ever experienced that? What I just described?
Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Yes, I have.
Cocaine and hookers.
And cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Okay, the hell of a drug.
Yeah, yeah. But I have, and the thing about me that's different, and I'll argue for other people, I've felt this many times. The thing,
Really?
yeah, here's the thing though. Here's the thing though. In my opinion, people feel like when they're in love or they declare that they're in love, that it has to last forever.
Oh well, they
And
talked about this in the book. They said that.
yeah, so it's like, yeah, I felt that feeling. Now, it didn't last long enough, but I can say for those 2 months, I was in love. Now,
Hold
I didn't
up.
acknowledge it as such.
Passionate love does not turn into compassionate love. Passionate love and compassionate love are two. separate processes and they have two different time courses. Their diverging path produce two danger points, 2 points where many people make grave mistakes. Passionate love ignites it, burns, and it can reach its maximum temperature within days. During during this week or months of madness, lovers can't help but think about marriage, and often they talk about it. Sometimes they even accept that the offer and commit to marriage. That is often a mistake. No one can think straight when high on passionate love or cocaine or heroin. That's what you're talking about. After a while, however, if all the things align, like you said, with the would you let that shit burn out a little bit, and you do the compatibility thing and all that stuff, and the attachment styles lead up because the compassionate love has two different components where it's deal with the attachment style with you and your mother and the caregiving stuff. We get to that the crap later. I'm not gonna read the whole damn book for you, but at the same time, once you get past all that and you start saying, oh, okay, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. You're not such a horrible person that killed the younglings because your mother got killed by some people in the desert. Star Wars reference. Uh, that's when you start forming those attachments, those commitments, and stuff like that. A lot of people make the mistake, as we've done, particularly in the past, when that cocaine and that hairball hits, boy, you like, oh my God, I can't live without you, and blah blah. And we start committing all these things, all these sins, so to speak, and used to get in trouble because sometimes that person that you have that disco inferno for is not the right person you should be with.
But dude, you talk about when it wears off and stuff like that. I think that's in anything. Any flower needs to be watered. So it's like that feeling that you have, it has to be nurtured. So I don't know the differences in the loves and all of that stuff, but you can't compare it to like coming down from a cocaine high, because in any kind of high or euphoria that you feel for any person, if they're not consistent with it, it's going to die. If they do something nice for you in September and then we're in June, they can't point back to September and be like, well, I did this for you in September. It's like there's no good that comes from cocaine. There is good that can come from being in love. Now they both can kill you, but there is good that can come from love. And as far as like the science and denying it or whatever in the 5 minutes that we have left,
Oh
here's my
wow, that
question.
was quick.
I know. Here's my question for people that value science and stuff like that, and you read these books and stuff like that, and they compare these things. Who are these people that you're putting your trust into? Who is this person? Because what I would want to know beyond like how much they can write in the book and how much they can describe it, I want to know like, is this person in love? Has this person been in love? Is this person married? What has been his journey?
They
Um,
do that
well,
along with the neuroscience stuff, and like I
well,
said, they do all that.
that's what I want to know. The author of that book or authors of that book, I want to know what their story is. Like, what's their like? Who are their wives?
Okay, I didn't get that far in the book yet, man. Dang.
Well, that's what I want to know, because what I found in this love journey that I've been on forever and a day, there's a whole lot of people that can tell me stuff, but then when you look in their kitchen, it's like a whole bunch of mess. So I'm not one of those people that necessarily doesn't believe that if you're not doing it, that you can't speak on it at all.
Yes,
But
you are.
I do believe that if you're going to pull me in and like make me even like entertain what you're saying, you need to tell me your personal experiences. It's like, shoot, it's like I know somebody, for example, and I'll make this real quick. I know somebody, for example, who got a certification as a some kind of therapist and stuff like that. And my question is, I'm like, I know that
Hold up. Certification is what? Because you kind of broke up on
a
my end.
certification for like some kind of like therapy or something, like she was a therapist or something like that, but she got it like
Okay.
kind of mail order stuff. And I was like, I know that you're trifling. So so tell me, yeah. So,
I guess we just blew out 5 minutes.
so you can show me a certificate, but tell me why I should trust you beyond this certificate, because I know the certificate is bullshit because I know you. So yeah. So
We're
That's
going to have to continue this one because I need to find out about this trifling chick who gave you a certificate.
man. I tell you what, man. You can get a certification in anything these days.
Hey, I'm going to become a guru.
Hey, there's a certification for that too,
I love guru. Yep,
man.
because people like you need help.
Man, hey, I do need help, but I know one thing. If on my next date I go up to a woman and I'm like, "Yo, which type of love do you believe in?" Now, knowing the women that I date, they might actually engage in that mess, and knowing the women that I date, they might think there's some depth to it. But when it comes to putting these things into practice,
Hey, man, better than what I used to do. I used to have my questionnaire. Hey, fill out this questionnaire.
I've got I've gotten those from women
See,
as well. So
hold up. Before, let me do this. One last thing. I fill out this questionnaire. That was before I embraced my intuition and my feeling.
see, you did that mess on purpose because you knew it made me mad talking about intuition. Because I feel like that's some BS. And you was going through my phone talking about you had a feeling because I was out past 11:30 and I didn't answer your phone I didn't answer your call within 20 minutes.
More than like I was passed out, but in the gutter
Yeah, yeah.
with a bottle of bourbon.
Which has actually happened to well, not the pass out in the gutter with a bottle,
Yeah,
but
not that part.
somebody asking me questions and saying, I think that you're lying because you really weren't what you said. And it's just like, dude. And then you get into the whole thing, and boy, you see, you got me on one now. And then you get into the whole thing where it's like, what have I shown you that makes you believe that I'm this person?
You got to dig.
Okay, what proof do you have?
You got
So
to dig.
basically, I'm supposed to argue with you about a feeling that you have, your intuition, when I know what I was doing, but I'm going to debate what you were feeling that I was doing. How
Ooh,
does that argument even go?
ooh, that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah. So see that intuition stuff. We got a minute left.
I'm not gonna sit there and say I'm not shitting on the intuition. I have embraced my inner wishing, but at the same time, I realized using the book, it's called the happiness hypothesis. I've learned to embrace it and realize that damn elephant of intuition would get your ass locked up somewhere.
I want to know. I want to know the author of that book because I want to research and see if he got women trapped in his basement because he can write a book. But if he got women trapped in his basement, then I want nothing to do with him before I start like espousing all of this stuff that he puts in the book. Shoot.
We put it into the description box.
Yeah, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. Actually, I'm not going to do any research on him, but
No,
still.
he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
I'll do it for you guys.
You're not doing it either. Come on now. Reggie, man, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.